Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sustainability Spotlight. Today, we're joined by Anke. Anke, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your role here at Humber?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Anke Foller-Carroll. I am a professor in the tourism program here at Humber.
So, Anke, can you please share with us how you incorporate sustainability in your day-to-day life here on campus and outside of campus as well?
Yeah, so outside of campus, I'm very in tune with, looking for sustainable options. I grew up that way. Back home in Germany, we were quite a little bit ahead of the curve. Also, I now look for really where my money is going. And that's kind of what has been a much greater emphasis, especially since the pandemic as well, before already, but definitely now. If I see businesses with sustainable practices, if I know a coffee shop that has compostable cups and dishes and whatnot, I will definitely frequent them over others. Any independent businesses, social entrepreneurs, indigenous businesses, Black-owned, women-owned, if I can make a choice, I will always support these businesses as opposed to big box stores and really try to know where my money is going.
Can you define what sustainable tourism is?
Yes, that's a loaded question, but yes, I can. So sustainable tourism is really all about learning about a culture, immersing yourself in communities, in really mindful travel. And that has lots and lots of different forms, but really that desire to learn and to grow and to also form meaningful relationships with local communities while you are traveling, and choose also companies that really foster that same spirit that we just talked about, right? That support local communities, local hotels, local souvenir shops, not the ones that import souvenirs, right? That have local restaurants, right? That you really are getting away from the Holiday Inns and the McDonald's, while you are in a destination, but really take with you, what you the richness that the culture has.
Can you tell us why you think sustainable tourism is important?
The United Nations World Tourism Organization, the UNWTO, has declared tourism as a force for peace. And when it's done properly, it really does its job. If you are going into another country and you meet the local people, you can't think of them any longer as like this abstract body of people. If you have met these people, if you see that they are just like you and I, what's really important is that we are looking at this immersive opportunity, at this learning opportunity. All-inclusive resorts are definitely not sustainable in their practices, right? And they're little microcosms, micro-universes, right, that replicates the comforts of home, right? And the question is, why are you leaving home, right? That awareness, right, that we can really travel sustainably, right? And you might venture out in a sort of hybrid form, but maybe then you realize, wait a second, travel is not that difficult, right? If I do it right, I can completely forego, international chains, and I can really do this mindfully, right? I think this is really important that we learn about this now. The same as looking at other countries and their practices. For instance, if you leave North America, you'll see that there's a lot of countries that don't have waste management systems the way we have, right? So can we show up without lots of things that we need to discard in the local country, right? Can I bring, reusable containers that I bring back with me? So those are really important things, that, and also again, where does our money go to, right? If you do mass market products like all-inclusives, like cruises, we all think that, the locals will have jobs and will get money. But the reality really is that out of every $100 that we're spending, $5 stays in the destination and $95 goes into the country.
What are some of the challenges that come with sustainable tourism and sustainable traveling?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, is definitely a huge challenge, right? And it's, again, Maslow's hierarchy of needs applies to tourism just as much. The first question we always ask, will I be safe? Where will I eat? Where will I sleep, right? Like those basic human necessities. And nowadays, it's so easy to find options, right? And it's all a matter of getting educated about it. The big question is really also, I think, a combination with us seeing travel as a right, like we deserve this. Travel is a privilege, it's a luxury. And combined again with that lack of education, I think that is the biggest challenge right now. Another big challenge I see is also social media. I encourage people to consider is how do you present your travel on social media? There's a lot of, like, how should I say, unconscious bias coming through and like really privileged messaging that I really would like people to not to really forego. And instead, lead by example, right? So write something that you've learned, right? The statistics right now say that it's a little bit over 50% that we choose developing countries as our desirable destinations. And that's only to increase to approximately 57% by 2025. So meaning that power distance or that perceived power distance, right, plays a huge role, that privilege, right, that you are imposing on those communities. And really taking this and really telling their people stories.
Anke, what are some sustainable tourism that you've seen on social media or here at Humber that you would want to share with the audience?
Yeah. So what I've seen or what I've also been to is there are currently really good opportunities for people to travel locally here in Ontario. You don't have to go anywhere. The Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada and Indigenous Tourism Ontario they've done a fabulous job to support their communities, to invest in business opportunities where we as settlers can really learn about Indigenous culture. Education is one of the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and it is a fabulous opportunity for people to really be immersed and to learn from the Indigenous social entrepreneurs that really are also taking care of their communities. And the other thing that I've seen that is fairly new is the Ontario Culinary Alliance. They run local food tours. There is a food passport for Black-owned businesses all around the Kitchener-Waterloo region, Indigenous chocolate makers in Sudbury. They go to communities and they really say, what are your food offerings? Who in your community is not sitting at the table right now? Who should be sitting at the table? And this is like weekend trips. Like you just go to, like there's so much within a 2-hour driving circle radius around the GTA. And then also a little, further up if you have a bit more time, but you don't have to even leave the country on a carbon-heavy airplane. Yeah. You can also do a little road trip, and enjoy what Ontario has to offer there.
If there's a faculty member who wants to incorporate sustainability, how would you advise them to do so?
Oh, there's so many opportunities, right? It always depends, obviously, on your topic, and what you're teaching. Tourism is easy, okay? So let's say, but there's so many opportunities. I would always say take them out of the classroom. Like number one, field trips, right? I sometimes, I regularly actually do field trips around Humber campus. We look at the Arboretum, we look at all the amazing sustainable accomplishment and achievements that we have made here at Humber.
Thank you so much for joining us, and join us for next month's Sustainability Spotlight. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.